Namaskar to everyone. Those eminent chartered accountants, tax consultants, experts in the market who are on the dais. Many of them I know personally. And also for the august learned audience before me. It gives me immense pleasure to stand here, and before I start anything, I'd like to bow my head to Smt Ji Maharaj. I have great regard for this institution, which keeps the spiritual roots of every Indian intact, brings them together, makes them involve themselves in doing public service, and takes this message all over the world. The kind of institutional arrangements reflective of Indian culture that the Swaminarayan movement has done is immense, and I appreciate the immense work being done by this movement. And once again, therefore, I salute and do a namaskar to Pramukh Swamiji Maharaj is held in high reverence by Honorable Prime Minister himself. And we know that every work which is being done by Swaminarayan movement is for the larger cause of the Indian culture and spirituality. So my respects, because we are standing in the Swaminarayan Prangan, as you would say. But today, I am standing here to talk to professionals on Viksit Bharat, the role of professionals. I think the topic itself is self-explanatory. If we want to build a developed India, it can't be built on just hard resources. It has to have a human professional element. And that human professional element is what? In which chartered accountants, cost accountants, tax consultants will all have to play a role. Because as we see it, India is on the fast track, moving as it did from 10th to 5th position where we are now. And although we say in the next few years we'll reach the 3rd position, there are global experts and economists who are observing the pace at which India is growing, who say it doesn't have to wait for a few more years, it might be 25 or 26, by which time we will already be reaching 3rd position. And that is why you have Honorable Prime Minister saying, I'll come in my 3rd term and prove that India can reach the 3rd position. It is not without responsibility or confidence in the inherent talent of Indian people that the Prime Minister speaks those words. And therefore, today, standing before you, I want to underline the fact that the lines that we've been saying from 2014, Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas, but more importantly, Sabka Prayas. Unless we all work together, that goal, firstly, of reaching the 3rd rank, and in the medium term, reaching a developed nation status is not achievable. And unlike many countries, India has the benefit of very well qualified and experienced professionals as chartered accountants, as cost accountants, as tax consultants, all of whom are doing at the ground level, building awareness, ensuring compliance, making sure good advice is given to client for better governance. Every small company, medium company or large company benefits for itself, benefits for its shareholders, and benefits for the country by observing better governance practice, be they listed or be they not listed. Especially with global expectations on good governance continuously changing, we have to have the advice of qualified professionals who can tell companies as to what advantage it has for better compliance. Gone are the days when you can bypass and find out ways without compliance and exist as business. Today, the better compliance, the better recognition, better interest in investors' mind about a company, and as a result, better cash flow for your business. And that is why the role of professionals, the role of chartered accountants particularly, in talking constantly with your clients, in updating what is global standard compliance, and making sure that India's own compliance from the policy side is also made world-class, simple, and easy to follow. That is why I think in the next few years, India's leadership, now your president and eminent chartered accountant Shailesh Bhai rightly mentioned that intellectual capital, which India is rich in, is now going out and performing somewhere else, giving the benefit of our intellectual capital to somebody else, some other country, and India doesn't benefit. And it is true, at one point in time that was a matter of concern because most of our talent pool was going outside because individually they thought they had better career opportunities, job satisfaction, and also better living conditions, and therefore many people opted to go out. But today, I'm glad to say, there is a reversal of that. A lot of people, qualified people who have gone abroad and served abroad, are seeing that if there is a country where things are happening, it is India. The happening place is Bharat. And therefore many people think what they do there can be done even by being in India. You can still serve others from India, for which technology has given us the advantage. You are able to connect with any part of the world, any part of the day, and be able to run your office as competently as you would do it from being abroad. And therefore today, many of our own professionals are wanting to come back and do their work from here. But more importantly, professional partnerships abroad are looking to have some kind of a collaboration with partnerships here. I remember several times Honorable Prime Minister himself saying, why is it that in India, where we have a large pool of professionals doing extremely well on their own or being a part of big companies, are themselves in single or in partnership, small partnership or big partnership, are not able to create one of the big four? That's a question which we need to answer. Is it not possible for us to create? After all, the grace cells with which we contribute to those big four, nearly 40% to 45% of all those professionals who are running these big four are Indians. And therefore, is it not possible for us to create a partnership of that order which can challenge global businesses that you can do it? You will be able to serve. I would think, and this is not what I am revealing about government, thought which I'm sharing in this very sacred premises among very good high professionals. If anything, Viksit Bharat, there are people who ask me wherever I go, what do you mean by Viksit Bharat? What will it be like to be in India, in a developed India and a Viksit India? I would think there should at least be 2 of the big 4 here in India for it to be Viksit. If anything, the clap is very weak. The clap is not for me. The clap is not for because I am saying it. If you're confident, if you're the one who Shailesh Bhai was referring to, intellectual capital going out, with confidence you should not only clap but take it on yourselves today. Yes. That Viksit Bharat will have at least 2 big of the big 4 chartered accountancy global firms which will run from India, operate from India and do business globally. It is one thing to ask Prime Minister Modi, who has held an elected position for 20 unbroken years as Chief Minister and then as Prime Minister, and whose track record on development is unmatched by anybody else. To say what is your 100 days plan, Prime Minister, you can ask him. Prime Minister, then you're saying about 2047 developed country, you can ask him. You can ask all of us. But I ask of you, please in the next 100 days for you, set a target that the work on building big 4 will be done. And before that, whatever that the government has to do to facilitate it, you can request, and I'm sure all of us will be more than happy to do it for you so that you create a big 4. I'm sure it is definitely something which you can be sure of, which you have the wherewithal to do it, and you have the exposure. Many among you all have been partners in Big 4 companies. Your children are probably working in Big 4 companies, firms. You probably are partnering with Big 4 in some activity or the other in this country itself. I'm not talking about the consultancy practice. I'm talking about the audit practice. I'm sure you're all doing it. Are you or are you not? Yes. You're doing it. Yes. So you know what it takes to be a part of it, and it is not beyond you. So I would think, if anybody asks me from now onwards, I've been answering till now. What does it take? What does it mean when you say Viksit Bharat? What is it in 2047 our children will see in India? I'm going to add to the list that the Chartered Accountancy Association, which met me in Mumbai, and that too in Swaminarayan Mandir Parisar, promised me that they will have a big 4 form. I think a concerted effort, well thought through effort, a bold effort, with a strategic group among yours should sit and plan it out. India needs to have a global presence in professionalism, in chartered accountancy. And which better place? I can say here, anything which starts from here, Mumbai, BJP 1980, starting from here. We saw where we have reached. So starting from here, you will have a global big 4, 2 of them chartered accountants in India. Global firms. So that is one thing I put before you. But with that said, and I did say it in light mode, I'm seriously saying, we have such talent. We need the reversal of that talent to come back. We need people to serve the world by being here and serve India as well. But it should be that every such body, professional body, should now think of what it can do towards building Viksit Bharat, and your goal is before you. Your goal is very clearly before you and you can achieve it. So I would think it's important for you all to look at it. In the meanwhile, of course, global recognition, mutual certification, global standards and accounting practices, adoption of technology, and making sure the processes are user-friendly, and simultaneously, for GST-like processes which are already technology-driven, you should have a specialized team which constantly advises the GSTN of what are the kind of changes in technology which are required so that your and your client's jobs are made easier for compliance. It is no good if 3 chartered accountants with good intention just say, oh, it is impossible, we can't comply with this is too much, deadline is passing, you extend our deadline, it is always on us, your systems are failing. Take it away. To make the systems better, is there a set of people who can give me ideas? We can bank on the GSTN and say, take their input, make your systems up to date, never be a cause for complaint. वो बोलने के लिए कोई सुझाव आना चाहिए. You should form a group of people who can constantly give input saying, before the next deadline, would you please do this to be king? Would you please do this amendment? It's not, I'm not making fun. It's not just only to ask for rate reduction. अरे टैक्स कम करो, ठीक है भाई, हो गई बोली, मगर उससे आगे भी कुछ बोलिए ना. So I appeal to you to become a proactive, constructive policy enabler. You should be able to periodically demand, and I will encourage it, demand a session with the GST Council. Say we would like to come and present to the GST Council where finance ministers from all states are seated. Say, हम प्रोफेशनल्स ये चाहते हैं, ये क्योंकि हमारे ईगो सेटिस्फैक्शन के लिए नहीं, सिस्टम बेहतरी करने के लिए हमारे सुझाव है. प्लीज आप हमें टाइम दो. I will be the first person to say yes for them. Let them present in the GST Council. I will definitely stand up to it. I want that kind of an approach, participatory approach, collaborative approach, in which suggestions are to improve the system. अचानक लास्ट मिनट में मैंने सिस्टम में एक गलती देख लिया और पूरे सिस्टम को निंदा बोलो, कठोर शब्द में बोलो ये सिस्टम उपयोगी नहीं है, अरे ये क्या चला रहे हो आप, ये है क्या? अरे आपके सुझाव आने के बाद हम यूजलेस है तो गुस्सा करोगे, आपकी सुझाव ही नहीं है. हम हमारे दिमाग के उपयोग करके कुछ करते हैं, वो अच्छा नहीं लगा, ठीक है भाई, मगर आपके दिमाग तो बढ़िया है, क्यों नहीं बोलते? मैं इसीलिए हाथ जोड़ करके आपका एक प्रयास बहुत जरूरी है. सिस्टम को बेहतरी करने में आपके कांस्टेंट इनपुट्स आने के लिए कुछ करिए. मैं 2 काम दे दिया अभी, बिग 4 के लिए एक स्ट्रैटेजिक टीम और जीएसटीएन को इंप्रूव करने के लिए हर 6 महीने GSTN में presentation के लिए आई. So 2 jobs I have already given you. Not because I want to shift the responsibility. मगर हम अगर सही काम करना है तो आपके input जरूरी है. अब दे दीजिए. I would strongly recommend if you do these 2 things, you will have a much stronger voice to say, I have my client's experience coming to you. मेरा क्लाइंट की बेहतरी के लिए मैं जो बोल रहा हूँ, प्लीज उसको क्यों सीरियस नहीं लेते हो, ये मांगने में, डिमांड करने में आपका आवाज बुलंद हो। सो जरूर इसके ऊपर चिंता करिए, सोचिए, कुछ करने के लिए तैयार करिए। तीसरे विषय डिमांड नहीं है, मैं विषय बोल रहे हैं, म्यूचुअल रिकग्निशन ऑफ क्वालिफिकेशन के लिए गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया बहुत ही अटेम्प्ट कर रही है, जिससे कि हमारे क्वालिफिकेशन इधर और उनकी क्वालिफिकेशन उधर रहने के बावजूद भी you will be able to deal with businesses happening there. Businesses which are doing things there, you can be part of the audit team, you can be part of the consultation team. Your work will also be recognized. It's easy. Then the fourth thing I want you all to do is definitely look at technology. Make your profession a lot more technology driven. Advise your clients to also adopt technology, and in that you must tell them which is the most appropriate, which will be talking to each other's system, क्योंकि हमारे टेक्नोलॉजी और हमारे ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम अगर दूसरे के ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम के साथ बात नहीं करती तो उससे फायदा नहीं। So you should be able to create systems that can technologically speak with one another. The fifth one, globally हम अभी एस्टैब्लिश कर रहे हैं, गिफ्ट सिटी हो, सिंगापुर के साथ हमारी एक्सचेंज हो, इन सब में भी we need your expertise to say how better that can operate. The achievements of Indian stock markets are brilliant. Globally, when the whole world is suffering because of the volatility in the markets, it is only the Indian market which is performing without any kind of major volatility. And in that, there are people here sitting, mutual fund experts, stock market experts, bond market experts. There are great guys sitting here. But for them as well, if there is expertise required, in general compliances, in studying the market better, you have a big role in that. There has to be a synergy between people who are experts in the market for various aspects and with professionals. Because that is a growing area. That's an area with a lot of technology coming in. Technology which is not always writing codes. It's also application based on your own practices. Chartered accountancy, cost accountancy, all of them do have their own structures. You need people who are going to be able to use those structures, work with them, and get something out of it which makes it even more easier for your clients and for yourselves. I'm not going to go into greater detail of what are all the other things, but I think these are great times in India. Just imagine 1970s, late 60s, what atmosphere prevailed then. You were still there. Chartered accountants existed even then. Professionals existed then. But what is the opportunity today before us? Opportunity just not within India. Your expertise going abroad, not physically, being here and giving advice, being here and talking about practices in India, being here and talking about the structures within India which are so important for compliance, and also the overlap between the legal practice and audit practice. Overlap between forensic audits which are required by chartered accountant plus lawyer plus anybody else will have to work. And today in the digital era, things happening only on the digital mode, requires also audits of slightly different nature. How many of us are ready for it? Thank you. Digital audit. And for assets which are created digitally, review of them, advising on that. Now the Digital Data Protection Act is being under discussion for some time. How many chartered accountants have looked at digital personal data protection? How many of you all would have given your inputs? I want you all to give your inputs. Because digital personal data is something which you will please use, whether it is for the account aggregator, or whether it is for the marketing companies, or whether eventually in the two-pillar tax solution which is coming globally, you need to know the value which is being created, and from that how much is going to come under the global taxation, what actually is the two-pillar solution. Many of them are for the digital marketing companies and companies which are revenue generating without borders. Revenue is being generated in one area, whereas the company is registered elsewhere. The global two-pillar solution taxation issue is about this. I want chartered accountants to play a very critical role in understanding and advising India on what position we should be taking on these matters. Because levies have already been made, equalization levy, which I'm sure many of your companies are also going through. So how are you going to handle it? So in the pathway to Viksit Bharat, there are so many opportunities in which just a jugaad Indian solution will not work. The thought through, properly framed and absolutely structured solution is required. And in that, your role is going to be very critical. And I would honestly want you all to play a very important role in that. So, without extending much more on issues before us, profession will have to have a futures looking. You're creating a pool of youngsters who are not going to take exam twice, but now going to take exam 3 times a year. More young people are coming. They should be given the opportunity to understand the changing world. And they should be exposed to audit practices which are technological. And in that your role is very critical. I won't elaborate more in case there's something more I can always answer some of the questions. So thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, madam.